We just received some phone calls from some of our industry representatives and also our chiefs with respect to some of the people that are employed in our economic development arms and the lack of ability to be able to get around them with respect to getting in to meet with chief and council or anything like that. And what I wanted to do is just talk a bit about the snakes and ladders approach and what that actually means with respect to this situation. Snakes and ladders is a game that was played quite a few years back, and what it is it has, you roll the dice and you move along in the game, and the object is to climb up to the different levels, get to a ladder, climb to a different level. You get to a certain point, and if you hit a snake, you slide down to a different level. So snakes are bad, ladders are good. And what I wanted to do is just kind of reiterate a bit about how our situation is at a community level with respect to snakes and ladders approach. Within our communities, we've been, and I'm going to relate it back to culture and opportunity for other cultures and opportunity that isn't for us with respect to having that ability all the time to be engaged in that type of process. So, as you're looking at it from the First Nations perspective, Aboriginal perspective, you see that we've been dealt a lot of snakes. We got the third world conditions, poverty, lots of housing issues, a lot of water issues, a lot of social ills and issues along that line. So those are all snakes that we've been dealt with the card that we've been given as a population of people. On the other hand, there are other populations that get a lot of ladders that they're able to climb up to different levels, and they're able to maneuver quite quickly within a lot of different sectors. And what I'm relating to here is the issue of our MBA banker all-star team, and that was what the focus was of the emails and the discussion with the industry representatives. How do we move around that, and how do we make it so that they're more effective at a community level? And so what's happened anyhow is as I'm putting this in the snakes and ladders approach, sometimes we get dealt a lot of snakes, and that means that our activities don't actually occur at a community level with respect to economic development or community development. And a lot of that times what happens is the snakes aren't just the housing issues, they're not just the water issues, they're not just the social issues that are there. Sometimes they can be people issues. And the general focus of the emails was that how do we get the people that are supposed to be our all-star team actually working for us. And sometimes what happens in our communities is that we attract snakes into our community, and they come in there with respect to just taking on a role, and a lot of our MBA and our banker all-stars wind up becoming glorified managers of our economic development arms, and there's not really a lot of activity that occurs. And what you mean is that the intent when they first brought them in was that, we're going to be able to move forward with a lot of different initiatives and make things happen at a community level. And a lot of that hasn't happened. And what happens is they come in and they're coming from what you would say an egocentric world view, where they're the epitome of something fantabulous within the banking world, within organizational structures, and they come into our environment and realize that that there's a lot of challenges that are not relevant in those environments, and they don't have the teams with them. They don't have the the abilities to be able to advance and make things happen at a community level. So that's really quite a challenge for a lot of our all-star teams. And something that they have to understand is that they're no longer on Bay Street, man. You gotta click your heels, Dorothy, and realize that you're on the reserve, you're in our communities, and when they bring you in and they pay you quite a substantial amount of money, they want to see some results. And sometimes, you know, the snakes that come into our communities are just there for their own self-benefit. And so as we're talking about this, you know, a lot of our community leaders and our community members, when they put these individuals into a position of authority, they've got to be in control of those people. They have to understand that, you know, if they're not performing at the level that, you know, the chiefs have identified them to move forward with, and our councils have identified them to move forward at, they need to change them up. You can't afford to pay an outside party a substantial amount of money to come in and be a glorified manager. You know, if that's the case, you might as well hire your own people and put them in those positions, because they're not really benefiting the communities or the community organization or even your chief and council with the level of activities that are occurring. So sometimes the snakes aren't just the cultural issues, sometimes the snakes are the people. And the real key thing here is that from our community's perspective, we only have so many ladders that are going up. And if they're restricting individuals who are coming in from outside, who are trying to assist with moving forward on their initiatives, but not only that, to bring new abilities to our communities and new opportunities to our communities, it's not their responsibility to be chasing those individuals off. And you know, there's a lot more that goes into those emails that I won't elaborate on because they are very contentious. So with that, you know, watch out for the snakes, because they're not just the snakes that have been dealt to us by government and by society as a whole. They sometimes can be individuals who are snakes. And always realize that, you know, that there's only one opportunity sometimes that comes to your doorstep. And so you have to be open to those opportunities and move forward with them when they're there and they're available. So as always, you know, we're all about giving a hand up, not a handout. And thank you for your comments.